Hello and welcome to this episode of the Social CMO Show, brought to you by the Social Business School of socialstrategy.com. I'm your host, the social data girl Shilpi Agarwal, and my guest today is a serial entrepreneur and currently the Chief Executive Officer of AdEspresso. Please welcome Massimo Chieruzzi. Hi Massimo, welcome to the show.
Hi Shilpi, thank you for having me. Hello everyone.
Hello, welcome. So, for a few people who don't know what AdEspresso is, Massimo, please tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. AdEspresso is a SaaS solution for Facebook advertising optimization. We are targeting small, medium businesses, guys spending between 5 and 50K in Facebook advertising per month. And usually these users need to do lots of testing on their advertising to find the best ROI, but it's really tough to do that on Facebook advertising because it takes a huge amount of time and it's really hard to make a sense out of their data. While with AdEspresso in 3 minutes, you can create hundreds of different ads and discover what's working for you. For example, you could discover that one picture performed much better than the other, but just for female, 18, 25 years old. And this way you can just keep spending money on the ads that perform better for you and stop all the underperforming advertising.
Wonderful. No, I'm a big fan of AdEspresso. I love creating optimized ads for myself as my clients on AdEspresso have used it. I love it. We'll talk more about it, but you've started 3 companies. You're a serial entrepreneur. You've done Creative Web, Media Zen, as well as now AdEspresso. Please share with us a little bit about your professional journey.
Sure. So actually, I've always been sort of a geek. I always loved computers since I was very young. And when I was 18, I started doing the journalist, covering startups, and it was the dot-com bubble. It was 2000, so it was very funny, lots of travels, lots of conferences, and everyone was making money in that time, in that period of time. It seemed like it was very simple. So I said, why not? And I stopped doing the journalist and I launched Creative Web, which was a boutique web agency. We focus on web development for bigger companies. And I was 20. I had no idea on how to run a company. So for the first years, we struggled to find customers to break even. But then things took off and we became one of the biggest agencies in Italy. We were like one of the bigger providers for eBay across Europe. And we were managing all the online presence for Heinz in Italy. So we became a pretty not big company, but a very high quality one. We were around 15 people. But still, I was a journalist, so I was finding the agency job a bit boring. So we started Media Zen, which was a blog network. And we did very well. In like less than a year, we were reaching 600,000 visitors per month. And most of that was through Facebook. And working in Media Zen, we understood that there was a problem on Facebook advertising, and that's how we started AdEspresso, basically as a small project inside of Creative Web. And then in 2014, we got into 500 Startups, which is one of the top 3 accelerators in the Silicon Valley. And we moved here in San Francisco, which is pretty fun.
Yes, yes. Awesome. So you mentioned that you were able to bring in, like for Creative Zen, you were able to, Media Zen, sorry, you were able to bring in 600,000 monthly visitors. So how long did it take you to do that and how did you do it?
So that was pretty fast. We were growing like 40-50% month over month in terms of traffic. And basically, we used a couple of strategies. One was search engine optimization. So instead of creating one huge portal, we created 5-6 niche blog, every one with its very specific topic. So it would rank very well. And one of the tactics that we used, for example, to drive traffic through search engine was to start writing content before a trend happened. So, for example, we had a very good blog on books, and when we knew that in 6 months a very important book was coming out, we would start blogging 6 months before, immediately. So there was no search volume, but when the book was released, the search volume will immediately go up. And of course, Google will prefer us because we were blogging on that subject for 6 months. So that was pretty effective. And the other strategy, of course, was social, which will probably not work right now, but it was some years ago. Social organic reach has not yet gone down very quickly. So it was very simple through Facebook advertising and engagement to basically reach 100, 200,000 likes for each one of our blog. And social engagement was very good. So we were able to drive a huge amount of traffic to our blogs organically through social media. And I think that will probably not work today, or at least it will be much more tough.
Harder. And probably need more money to do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just think that with Facebook advertising, we were getting new likes for our pages at like 3 cents per like.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is super low. I can't even imagine now.
Yeah, but every marketing channel, advertising channel, for the first year before it take off and everyone jump on board, there is always a huge opportunity there because there is very low competition and we are selling their inventory at a very cheap price.
True. No, and you mentioned a great point. Like you were writing about those articles 6 months before those books came out. So how did you know that these are the books that are going to come in the market? Like how did you know beforehand that this is going to happen?
We had contact with the publishers, so usually they release to journalists 1 year in advance, 6 months in advance, the titles coming out. But most of the website didn't care. They would just say, hey, this is not out, we don't care. While we will try to reach out to the author for an interview or find other content to write, and we would have pretty good jump start on that.
Awesome. So what pain point were you trying to solve when you started AdEspresso?
So we were trying to solve our own pain point, basically, because with both Media Zen internally and with Creative Web for our customers, we were running lots of Facebook advertising, but we immediately understood that we had to do lots of testing. Because, for example, I don't know how it is like here in the United States, but in Italy, we discovered that men didn't care about books. It was like 85% of our traffic was coming from women. And we would have never discovered that without a split test. And at the same time, there were so many other things to test. But on the other side, doing that with Facebook Ads Manager was extremely time-consuming. And all the solution in the market that would solve this problem, they were targeting the low-hanging fruit, which was the enterprise. So those solutions were both very expensive. We could not afford them because they had an entry point at like $5,000 per month just to use the tool. And they were also very complex. They were targeting the enterprise, so people that wanted a lot of sophistications, a lot of control. While being a small, medium business, we wanted something that was cheap and very simple with a very good user experience, lots of automation, and so on. And we saw that gap in the market, and we decided to start addressing them.
No, definitely. I think you've hit a pain point there. So who is your ideal customer and what are you doing to reach them?
So our ideal customer right now, we define our ideal customer basically as someone that is making money online or somehow has the opportunity to easily track the return on investment of their advertising campaigns. And they are spending between $3,000, $5,000 per month up to $50,000 per month. But of course, we have outliers. We have guys spending $200,000 on Facebook advertising through AdEspresso, but the average is between 5 and 50,000. And it's 5 because since our main value proposition is making it very simple to run a split test, you need to have a decent budget before you can effectively do some testing. If you have $100 budget, you can test a couple of pictures, but you can do that with a Facebook Ads Manager. You would have not big benefits from the tool. Yeah, and the other question was how we reach them?
Yes, yes.
Okay. How we reach them? We reach them through content marketing. So we really love content, probably because I was a journalist, but as you know, we write a lot. We try to write 2-3 blog posts. Thank you. So we try to write 2-3 blog posts per week, and we try to make it extremely valuable. Because, a big problem in social media is that there are too many people writing about social media. And the quality is usually not very good. For example, I heard Guy Kawasaki, and I totally agree with him, saying that, 99% of the article on social media starts with, you should be open and transparent. What the fuck? Of course you should be open and transparent. Opposed to what? Being closed and shady? I mean, that's not a very actionable, useful tip. While with AdEspresso, we also have lots of data because of all the advertising we manage. So we can leverage the data to create unique content where we give suggestion, but we also prove the suggestion, backing them with data coming from the application. So that's a very good position to be. And it's working great so far.
So do you write your content yourself, or you have content writers? Do you have in-house content writers, or do you bring them ad hoc when they need it, or how do you do it?
When we started, I was writing 100% of our blog post. As of now, I write probably 40% of our blog post, and we have some external content writer to help us. Which was extremely painful process to find them. Because
I feel your pain. I know.
When you search for a developer, usually you are lucky if you receive one curricula, one application. If you search for a content marketing, you have the opposite problem. You receive 1,000 applications.
Yes, too many. Too many, but not good quality. Yeah.
That's pretty tough.
Okay, so for a startup, finding their first real 100 customers, paid customers, is, I think, the toughest job to crack. I mean, once you have the ball rolling, then it's easy to have more customers who will, vouch for you and things like that. So how did you convince your first 100 customers to pay you for your SaaS service? How did you do that?
So luckily, we didn't have to do lots of work to convince them. But probably I would say there were 3 key points on how we got to the first 100 customers. One is that we started doing marketing before we had an application. So we didn't even have anything for AdEspresso, and we were already blogging, writing about it, and doing lead generation. And actually, the way that before working on AdEspresso, we wanted to validate the idea if it was good. And actually, we came here to San Francisco with just some fake Photoshop screenshot. We didn't have anything working. And we went to a couple of startup events. We got a booth, and we said that the application was ready. And we were accepting application for the private beta, which actually happened after a year. But in a couple of days, we got 100 guys that wanted to join the beta. So when we then launched the beta, we already had a pretty big, probably 1,000 email subscribers. We mailed them. Then we kept the application in totally free beta open for probably 6 months. And when we launched the paid subscription, we already had more than probably At that point, we had 7,000 users that had already gone through the beta, the trial, etc. So, of course, many of them had already dropped out. The active users were much lower. But we simply sent out an email with a discount to thank them for all the help during the beta, the patience for all the bugs, and that worked out pretty well.
At what point did you join 500 startups?
We joined 500 Startup in October 2013. So we were still pre-revenue, we were still in free beta, but we already had pretty good traction. Yeah, we already had pretty good traction when we entered 500 startups. We were managing around probably 100K in Facebook advertising per month through AdEspresso.
So what made you join 500 startups and what were you looking for?
We knew from the beginning that Italy was not our market because small, medium businesses, but pretty sophisticated, that are spending in Facebook advertising with a good budget. Even if we had won 100% of the Italian market, that would have been not enough. And from day zero, we always did all our communication for AdEspresso in English. But on the other side, I had Creative Web, a company that was doing very well, and I was scared to just do a jump in the dark and move to the United States without any real support. And we had Armando Biondi, our co-founder, first join us as an investor, as an advisor, and then join the company. And it was the one pushing us to join 500 startups. And we were accepted, and that was extremely useful.
So what did they help you with?
Basically, with everything, with the mindset in Italy, we were not used to like fundraising, angel investors. Well, it's pretty different, and lots of awesome mentors. So you could ask people that had an incredible experience about basically everyone. It helped a lot staying focused because you knew that you had was 3 months of accelerator, and then it was over, and you had to get the most out of it. And finally, probably the biggest benefit for a foreign company of an accelerator is the network, because you come here and you don't have a network, you don't have anyone to reach out, you angel investors, you don't know anyone, you have no credibility because you are not in the ecosystem. While being part of 500 startups, at least you are one of the 30 company selected out of 1,000 applications. So it gives you some validation when you talk with investors to at least start the conversation.
No, I agree. So you're growing at a tremendous 20% growth rate per month for paid customers, which is awesome. So how are you keeping the churn rate low and keeping current customers happy, as well as bringing in new customers at a phenomenal rate?
So for acquiring new customers, we basically have this workflow which is working pretty well. We just push out the content, then we create lead magnet like ebooks, free checklist for the article, and this convert a good percent of the visitors into lead. And then we do lead nurturing via email. We use HubSpot, which is an incredible product.
I was just going to say, I just interviewed Mike Volpe 2 days back, and his
awesome.
episode just went out today. And when I was listening to this, I was like, Mike Volpe, if he's listening to this, he'll be so happy. It's like classic inbound technique you're using for content that's automatically generating leads for you, and it's filling up your funnel, and he would be so happy too.
Absolutely. Our inspiration for how we acquire customers and how we want to grow are absolutely HubSpot and Mods. I love what Mike and Rand Fishkin are doing in both companies, so they are a great inspiration for us.
Absolutely. We love Rand Fishkin and we love Moz and we love HubSpot too. Yeah, great, awesome. So, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's for acquiring customer. For the churn, we are setting up right now a customer success team. So through HubSpot, we monitor the life cycle, we monitor what our users are doing, and we reach out to them to just help. And yeah, that's it.
Just help meaning?
Yeah, I mean, we monitor if they have any trouble. We see that they have underperforming campaign. We just try to call them. Every Wednesday, we do an internal webinar for our customers to get them started, to teach them a bit, both of AdEspresso, but generally speaking, teach them how to successfully advertise on Facebook.
So besides content marketing, are you using Facebook advertising to acquire customers for yourself?
Yes, of course. We do advertising, probably much less than you would think. So we are spending very little, something like $2,000 per month.
Okay. And how many leads typically do you get because of the ads? Or customers, paid customers?
We get more than 1,000 sign up to a trial per month, every month.
And then how many of those 1,000 convert into paid customers?
Around 10% of them right now.
Around 10%, which is fairly decent, right? In this.
Yeah. It's pretty good, but we don't advertise to acquire customer. We don't have a single campaign that say join AdEspresso. We only advertise to get new customers into the funnel, so to convert anonymous people into visitors, and we just advertise the content of our blog, and we do a bit of advertisement to do lead generation. So just for the ebooks that we give out for free, but we don't advertise to join AdEspresso, the tool, the product.
Oh, okay. So you only advertise content, and the content is so interesting that people that makes sense. So what are your top 3 marketing challenges today,
So one of the biggest marketing challenges right now is, of course, how you scale the content strategy, because at some point you reach a sort of plateau, which we have not reached yet, luckily, so we don't really have this challenge, but we know that it's coming. So at some point right now, we are very focused on Facebook advertising. We know that at some point, probably we will need to create content to address verticals. So instead of just writing about Facebook ads, we will say, okay, agencies are a very good vertical for us. So we are going to create content to attract people that works in agencies, no matter if they look for Facebook advertising or not. And also the big challenge over there is to find the writers to scale, because I cannot write all of the content, of course, and finding good quality writers is very tough.
True. Anything else?
Yeah, the other challenge, of course, is the optimization of the funnel, which we are starting right now. When you are relatively smaller, I think that the low-hanging fruit is to drive more traffic. It's much more simple to grow driving more traffic rather than starting the smaller optimization. But now we have a very good amount of traffic, so what we are starting to do is testing with Optimizely, for example, all our landing pages, testing all our email funnels to see how we can optimize, how we can have our customers or use AdEspresso better, how to onboard them better, and so on.
Okay, so Massimo, tell us, are you helping your customers leverage social data to optimize their ads on Facebook? Is that a built-in feature or whatever in AdEspresso that they can make use of social data to optimize their ads?
No, we are not getting signals from outside, from social signals outside the advertising. We are helping them through highlighting the data from the advertising, which is pretty tough to make sense out of that in the ads manager. While, with AdEspresso, we immediately tell them, look, this picture for this audience is not working. You should stop it.
True. No, I love those recommendations that it says, oh, this is 600,000%. It's using up your, time and resources more than what the other ads are doing and how they are performing, and so you should stop this ad. So I love those recommendations. So what's on the roadmap? Final question for you. Is it like right now you're only doing AdEspresso for Facebook? Are you thinking about expanding it to other social networks, platforms like Pinterest, Twitter? Are you going to stick to Facebook?
So they're all very interesting platform. Actually, I created my first Pinterest ads just yesterday. I'm still waiting to see how it goes. So the number one consideration is that Facebook is huge. Right now, there are 2 million advertisers and there are 30 million businesses with a Facebook page. So we are sure that right now our growth, having just Facebook is not a problem for our growth. We have so much space to grow even better. And I'm a strong believer of starting doing just one thing, but very well. We have a very interesting roadmap. We want to simplify the product even more, add more automation in the optimization of the campaigns and so on. So probably for the next 5-6 months, we are still going to be totally focused on Facebook. We will also scale our effort in training our users. We are working on a sort of very like how HubSpot do the inbound certification. We are building a sort of Facebook advertising university because a tool like AdEspresso can make you save a lot of money, a lot of time. But if the user that is using the tool don't know how to effectively create a good campaign, set up the right testing, the tool is pretty useless.
You have a pencil and you don't know how to write, then what will the pencil do?
Yeah, correct. So we are doing a lot of training, and then of course we are looking to add another advertising channel, which could be Twitter, could be Pinterest, but could also be Google AdWords, which is pretty interesting. I mean, it's not a newcomer, but I would say that right now probably 90% of our customers that are spending money on Facebook advertising for sure are also doing advertising on Google AdWords. So there's a huge opportunity to grow very quickly with that single network, while small, medium businesses are usually not early adopters. And Twitter advertising and Pinterest are still in their very early days. So we are checking them out. We have not taken that final decision yet. But yeah, that's the consideration. So it doesn't need necessarily to be another social advertising channel. We just listen to our customers, speak with them, and try to understand what are their pain points.
Absolutely. That's the way to do it. Listen to your customers, solve the pain point that they are trying to solve, and then you don't have to go do advertising to get customers of your own. You can get customers on their own. I mean, basically, they'll come to you. So great talking to you, Massimo. Thanks for being with us today.
Likewise. Thank you for inviting me. It was really fun. I hope it was useful for everyone.
Yeah, I hope so too. And this is for you, all our listeners and all our viewers. Thank you for being with us today and watching this episode of the Social CMO Show. I'm your host signing off, Social Data Girl. But until next time, keep thinking about social business nirvana. Take care. Bye now.